All right. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's Mark. Thank you all for joining me for another Greenbridge Investing market analysis. Hopefully my stream is smooth today. So this is a live stream. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, hey DJ, hey Shay Shank, no problem. So you know how this works. If you have any symbols or any stocks you'd like to see, or any markets, please share them in the channel now. So once I complete my analysis, I can go over your symbols. Now, if you're new to the channel, it takes me some time to get through the chat, so please be patient. We had some comments in the previous section because they don't understand how this works. So, hey HS, nice to see you. So I just want to say that up front. Hopefully people have the ability to listen. All right, so in this session, I want to go over that Bitcoin trade that I sent out the previous Sunday, because it was really funny on TradingView. If you look at the comments that were shared the next day in the comments section, especially from people who are selling, signals or training or whatever, they were all bearish. It was hilarious, and they were all wrong. Okay, so it's funny how that works, and we're going to talk about that, and also how to manage this trade as the market continues to do what it's doing. Hey Hamid, nice to see you all. All right, also I want to talk about the stock market, because the stock market has been pushing highs again, and you're going to see a lot of chatter, a lot of positive comments, a lot of people getting out of hand as far as thinking that things are just going to continue like this. And this is a time when you see situations like this where it really helps to be more cautious and more defensive, and I'll explain why. All right, so with all that being said, as you know, this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Now, so we're going to talk about Bitcoin first, a couple of altcoins, then we'll get to the stock market, and then we'll get to your stocks and symbols. By the way, if you're new to Greenbridge Investing and you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Make sure you press the like button if you like the video. And also, if you can, please share it on your social network, because it's a very big help since I'm the one that has to do all that work. Okay, so yeah, please do that. Also, check out our website, greenbridgeinvesting.com. We do have swing trade signals by text and by email, portfolio management ideas, and a chat room where we share insight and updates to our trades. Plus, Trade of the Week, which is free. So if you're free, you want to sign up as a free member, that's the biggest value of the free membership, Trade of the Week. All right, let's go over the economic calendar first, because that's important, okay, especially for people that are involved in Forex. So what do we have? Today we had the ECB president speech that was way earlier. There was no effect, obviously. Bank of England, I mean, the pound has been benefiting. Okay, fine, but we don't have any trades in those areas, so not going to worry about it. I'm just looking for anything major. We have another ECB, this German stuff, not important. US Consumer Price Index, not important. Usually has no effect. That is tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Then we have the next day, which is Wednesday, we have the ECB president speaking again. Now, that's at 4 a.m. Eastern time. So again, that can move the euro, that can move the DAX if there are any surprises. It's like Chairman Powell speaking. The ideal situation would be a non-event, basically no surprises, and everything stays the same. The euro and the pound are bullish, okay? And things that are against the dollar, like dollar franc and dollar Canadian, that broader trend is still bearish. And that's why I won't call any new trades on the long side. If I'm going to call anything long, it's going to be on something like the euro or the pound or the Aussie or the New Zealand. So Royal Bank of Australia, Governor Lowe speaks. That's at 5:45 p.m. on the 14th. That's Eastern time. Again, important if you're involved in those pairs. Right now we have no trades in those pairs, but I would like to see something in the euro or the pound possibly. Okay. European Council meeting. Wow, these people really like to waste time and push paper. We have Australia unemployment rate. I wouldn't worry about these. Again, these are usually not big market movers. It's really the US dollar that's in the spotlight. So I'm looking for news that can affect the US dollar, because that's really what moves the entire global situation. European Council meeting, again, paper pushing. Presidential debate. Okay, so this is on Thursday. I believe that's Thursday at 9 p.m. Why is this important? Well, because the election is an important factor here, and it can affect stocks, it can affect the dollar, and that's important. Now, the previous election was, the previous debate really had no effect on the market, but the key thing here is if there are any surprises economically speaking. All right, if there's anything that is said that wasn't considered before or whatever. I mean, look for example, the vice presidential debate, whatever that nonsense is about. I don't pay much attention to that stuff, but there was a comment made about pot, okay, and the cannabis sector. The cannabis sector is now going through the roof because of some comments made because of whatever, the legalization, whatever. CGC is like pushing $20 because of comments, okay, talk. They haven't even done anything. So that's what you have to watch out for in these type of situations, okay? Ideal situation would be no surprises, non-event, and we just move along. Now, the 16th, which is, what is that, Friday? We have retail sales. Again, that's usually not a big market mover. Michigan consumer sentiment, not a big market mover usually. If there's any major surprise, possible, but usually non-events, okay? The big numbers we're always looking for are NFP or FOMC meetings. And China, these numbers don't matter. No one cares. Okay, so that's pretty much the economic calendar. There's nothing major this week besides, the debate and a couple of ECB president speeches, okay? That's where we really have to look for any surprises. All right, so let's get into Bitcoin. By the way, if you have any questions about any of the things that I'm covering as I'm going through, please feel free to ask. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, as much as I can here. If I miss your question, just please ask it again. Okay, so DJ, that's funny that you mentioned that. Okay, anyway, no, we'll get into that here in a minute. So let's get into the Bitcoin trade first of all. Now, I sent that out on Sunday. Okay, in fact, I wrote an article on TradingView, and I even gave people that viewed that article, I even gave them a part of that trade. I gave them the entry and I gave them one target, okay? And then I sent to our customers the complete information, our members, the complete information. Now, that was back here, okay? That was back here, and it looked ugly. It looked ugly. We took the trade based on this pin bar breakout, okay, which you can see right here. Pin bars, took out 10,675, and that was our long entry. Now, then we had this red candle. And in fact, I remember it was the previous Monday, and people even here were asking, is Bitcoin okay? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, you could go back and watch the video. I said, we have nothing to worry about here because it's not taking out any supports. And if it takes out a support, we have our stop. And that's what protects us. And that's it. Our risk has been evaluated, and it's now up to the market to work. Okay, I had this line drawn in. See this line, this bullish line? I had that drawn in for a week or whatever since I called that trade. So that's where the market chose to go. Now, all those people were bearish on that red candle. Why were they bearish? You have to wonder, and I can tell you why. It's most likely because they're watching small time frames. Okay, if you're watching a 4-hour chart or a 1-hour chart or something like that, you're going to get bearish here because it will look bearish on a small time frame. People do not give any weight to the bigger picture, which is all of this. All right, all of this means something. And people that don't consider that are going against the probability. Okay, and we are going with the probability. Like I said, probability favors a breakout. I don't know when that breakout will be, and it's a matter of a catalyst. We got the catalyst, which was that Square news, right? Square is doing something with Bitcoin, whatever. I don't know exactly what the news was, but that's what caught everyone off guard. No one saw it coming, okay? And now we got the push. Beautiful. Broke out, squeezed those shorts. That's what occurred here. Too many short, like I said, too many short, they will become buyers, and new buyers will jump in. That is what leads to this type of momentum. Now, okay, so that's pretty much where we've been. What about now? If you're not in this trade, then right now is not a time to get involved, okay? Because now you're buying the resistance where we're reducing risk. We're not putting on more, we're selling, we're getting out, we're reducing. We sold 1/3 at what was that? 11,375 was our first target. We reduced our risk by 1/3. That makes us a strong hand because now you have a choice. You can put your stop to break even, which makes the trade risk-free, meaning if it pulls back to break even and stops you out, you're still green because you locked in 1/3. People that argue with that or say, oh no, I'm losing money because I gave back profit. You're not going to be in this game very long if that's your philosophy on things. Okay, so the point is, this is now a risk-free trade. This is a very risky area to be getting into new positions. This here, this 11,600 to 12,300 is a resistance zone that's been in my chart for months and months and months. It dates all the way back to like August of 2019. And it's still active. It is still in play. So this is a very tough spot for a new long. Who's buying here? People who don't know any better. People that are reactive, okay? Very high risk. So what I would like to see, well, for one, we're long. So, I mean, really what I'd like to see is higher highs and green candles. And if you want, another choice you have is you can trail your stop manually by basically going a couple of bars back on daily bars. Don't go smaller time frame, you'll get stopped out. And you can raise your stop based on that. So, basically 11,272 could be one possible area to place a stop. Keep in mind, if you do that and the market has a dramatic turn or a really wide outside bar, you'll get tapped out at not such a great price, although still profitable. Okay? But that also allows you to stay in the game longer if this thing wants to have a nice run and never really pulls back. All right, which is possible. So those are some choices. Now, in the ideal situation, what I would like to see is some, this resistance to really assert itself. It tried, but as you can see, we're strong again, right? We're near the high. If we close like this, that's a pretty good sign going into this resistance zone, which has been very tough to break, okay? Now, if we pull back, like meaning maybe tomorrow we get an inside bar or something and we take out the low, the next inflection point is 11,000. It's around that area. That's why I have this line drawn there with that box. That's an ideal location for a new swing trade long. So if I see that and I see a reversal there, then I will be prompted to send out another signal. All right, we can add to the one we have. You can add, if you want to put on that second one, that's up to you if you're in the first one. If you're not in the first one, that's the next potential opportunity because that's where risk makes sense, number one, because we have a support in the area and I anticipate that price will find buying activity there. So of course it needs to confirm. If it goes, then I'd be anticipating the higher high. So that's the high probability location. Now, keep in mind, if we get a bunch of bearish candles going into that area, again, once again, on these public forums, you're going to see guys like DJ mentioned here saying, oh, whoa, Bitcoin is going to, 8,000 or whatever nonsensical comments that they share. They don't even give reasoning, right? And then DJ said, oh, the guy flipped in like 4 hours. He flipped or whatever, to the other side. I mean, that's the kind of quality you're dealing with. And these people sell products, okay? So, and they're top authors, which is another funny thing. Anyway, but that reflects the mentality of the community. People obviously don't know. So my point is this. You're going to see a lot of bearish chatter in such a situation. Just like all that bearish chatter was going on over here on this red candle, you're going to see it again here. Okay, and then if they're wrong, they're just going to say, oh, well, that's the market, and we're all bulls again. You're just going to see that. Please, do yourself a favor. Don't pay attention to it. Pay attention to the charts, okay? Because the charts don't lie. Price action doesn't lie. It's the most realistic and it's the most up-to-date information we can get that has any actionable value, okay? It's better than oscillators. It's better than what other people's opinions are. It's better than the experts, all that other nonsense. Pay attention to the price. That's what I do. Hey, Michelle. All right, so I'm not ranting here to bore you. I'm ranting because I want you to understand that when we get here, if we get here, you're going to see a lot of bearish talk. And it's just funny because there's so much of it that people get worried. People in our chat room get worried. And it's like, well, you know, we have our stops in place and all that stuff. Nothing to worry about. All right, so that's Bitcoin. If that buying opportunity develops, okay, also maintaining this bullish trend line, then I would expect that the next leg higher should take us into the middle of that resistance zone at least. That would be a higher high relative to this high. And if we could make it that far, okay, assuming we get the pullback, we may not get that pullback. But if we do, I'd be expecting this range to break, this resistance range to break. Because remember, there are a lot of shorts and stuff that are still in this position based on this structure back here. And they're going to start buying. Okay, plus new buyers jumping in on the breakout. So that's what these boxes represent, potential inflection points. Okay, and I have one way up here in the 13,000 area. So can it get there this week? And that's, you know, the thing that I put here on the title of this video. Can it get there? I mean, it's not a very high probability that we'll get there in a few days. It's possible, but that's probably more of like a 2-week move because we have to clear this resistance first. And that's why I would not put on more in such a location. I would be reducing risk now, like we took off 1/3 of our position, and then let the market work from there. Okay, that's it. Let the market work. So that's Bitcoin. Now, if you have any questions about Bitcoin, please let me know. I don't want to, talk about this too long because then I'll spend an hour talking about this, and then everyone will leave. All right, so let's look at a couple of altcoins real quick. Right, Chainlink. Look at this. So this was one, we sent this one out as a trade idea probably like, 2 weeks ago or something like that. And it actually activated, I think today, right here, right around there, right, was the activation. So this situation, we've talked about this in my sessions here. We talked about that basically you're just buying more Bitcoin anyway. You had an opportunity. We talked about this. We talked about the higher low. We talked about the buy signal developing. The reason why we don't call all of these all the time, like some may ask, well, why didn't you call the buy signal back here, even though you saw it and you mentioned it? Because we don't want people to get overexposed when it's all the same trade. If you're buying Chainlink and you're in Bitcoin and you're in Ethereum and you're in XRP, it's all the same trade, okay? But this is the buy signal that we had sent out, basically this level, the official level, and so that basically is now in play. All right, let's take a look at XRP. And Shashank was asking about XRP. This thing, again, following Bitcoin, okay? I've talked about this. People have asked about it, and I've talked about the higher low, and it's going for that higher high. Okay, fine, no problem. But again, if Bitcoin pulls back, these are going to pull back. So should you buy this right now? No. If you're not in from these lower prices, now is not a good time. It's a risky area. I mean, even with this one, right, with XRP, you're right at that inflection point. Why would you want to buy that? I wouldn't buy that. So let it pull back. If Bitcoin pulls back, you'll see the pullback. Another one, NEO, right, NEO USD. I talked about this quite a few times at that pin bar low. But, I didn't call this as a specific trade because I'm like, well, if we're in Bitcoin, this thing is kind of lagging on top of it. Okay, so I was expecting this thing to be more spectacular. If Bitcoin pulls back, this is probably, since it's acting relatively weak, it's probably going to pull back faster. So not a big fan of that. All right, it's relatively weak. Another one, XMR. This is a trade we called. This one went nuts. This one went to all 3 of our targets. Relatively strong, okay, Monero. We were on this. We sent this one out 2 weeks ago as well. You can't buy this now. It's vertical. What's this thing at? Today's high is 135.26. What a move, okay? We bought it on the breakout, and this thing just outperformed. So what do we do now? Wait for a pullback, okay? Wait for a pullback. So those are a couple of the alts I wanted to run through real quick. Let's get into the stock market. I see your questions, so I'm going to answer them. So if anyone's new, please be patient. I'll get to them. Everyone else, you know how this works. All right, so let's take a look at the stock market real quick. All right, beginning with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ 100 CFD. Look at this. So I've warned about this area. You can see the box, okay? I have the box here, this 12,000 area. And we basically just bulled right through it. I mean, this thing just bulldozed right through it, and that's interesting. Very strong close it looks like we're going to have here. up 360 points today. Okay, but I put in the chat room earlier, be careful. If you turn on the news right now, you're going to see all kinds of bullish talk and wow, record this and record that and blah, blah, blah and whatever. Don't pay attention. This is not a place to feel confident or safe that this thing's going to go higher. This is an vulnerable area. This zone, this box represents a zone. That's a resisted zone. Now, the fact that we've pretty much cleared it in one candle, that's a good start. But some news can come out of nowhere and we may see like a bearish candle tomorrow or an inside bar, something like that. We take that low out, then we're back in pullback mode. So why would you take all that risk here? Is it wise to avoid stocks altogether? No. There are some stocks, and I'm going to go over a couple of them, that have some interesting buy signals or breakouts that may be worthwhile because they don't follow the major indices very closely, meaning they kind of do their own thing, which is fine, all right? But what I'm saying here is don't get complacent, don't get overexposed. This is a place to be cautious. Michael had a question. I don't think Michael's in here. He had a question in the chat room about a particular stock. I can't think of the symbol right now. And he was asking, should we take some off the table? And the answer is yes. You should take some off the table. When you get a vertical move like this type of move in the stock market, you have profit in your stock, it's never a bad idea to take something, okay? It could be 1/3 of your position, it could be less, but lock something in because these are, people are there willing to buy. You do not want to sell at these bearish situations because you're banging out at the bottom. You're banging out at the worst price. This is the best price. So you're not going to get the exact high, so what? Okay, but this is a good place to lock in some profit, okay? S&P, let's take a look, right? Look at this, blew right through the zone. Okay, fine. Now, I had a question the other day on Friday about shorting, about maybe opening up a position on the short side with the I think the SQQQ was the symbol, SQQQ, which I believe is the ultra short, right, the ultra pro short. And the question was, should we start buying this, right? Well, let's go back to the S&P 500 chart. And my answer was no, it's too early. And the reason is, yeah, we are in a vulnerable location. And just like now, this is too early to short, although I wouldn't go crazy on the long side. Keep in mind, there are times when it's best to do nothing, okay? So this may continue higher, but I don't want to take any longs until I can measure risk. And at this point, when it's vertical like this, and we're getting near this high, which is pretty amazing that the S&P can do this. Pretty amazing, okay, considering all the nonsense that the market has faced going into the election. It's possible we go for that double top. It's possible we go for the failed high. If you're in stocks, like I said, you lock in some, you let it ride, or you look for ones that aren't as relatively correlated to the market, and you try to take a small bite out of those and see if they can go somewhere. But you have to be cautious because, again, if we get any type of red candle, it can come out of nowhere on any type of news, just comes out and surprises everyone, then it takes out a low and then we're pulling back. We want to buy that pullback. We want to buy the bottom of that pullback, okay? So that could be the 3,400 area. That could be slightly lower. But that's where the swing trade opportunity is, not here. That's my point, okay? Many of you probably know that because I've gone over things like this before. But if you don't, or maybe you forgot, just keep in mind that this is not a place to go short. It's too early. We have no evidence of selling at all. There's just nothing there. And it's also too risky to buy. So what we want to do, just to reiterate, is we want to wait until we pull back. And that's where we want to really look for swing trades in stocks that we like, okay, or stocks that are more sensitive to the broad market. All right, so that's the stock market. That's Bitcoin. Now, a couple of stocks that I had in mind, and then I'm going to get to your symbols. So again, if you have any symbols you'd like to see, please share them in the chat. So a couple of stocks that I had. One of them was FUV. This is one of those vehicle makers, okay? This is one of those like workhorse type of stocks, but it's a lot cheaper. So check this out, right? This one is trying to break this consolidation right here. You see that? So I like, that's interesting. I like today's candle. Now we have a little bit of a pin bar there. That doesn't qualify as a pin bar because the open to the close is way too wide, but I would definitely be watching this. So far it's a failed breakout, but this may turn into a possible buying opportunity, especially since we have some higher lows here and the broad consolidation. This entire consolidation range is just one broad higher low. Okay, so that's F, ticker FUV. There was another one too. Let me see if I can remember that. It was called these are Chinese stocks. There was one called, I think it was WIMI. Yeah, WIMI. There was WIMI and there was one called WAFU. Okay, so this is WIMI. Same situation. These are companies based in China. And look at this, right? That's quite a move. After a very long consolidation, this initial move right here could be the beginning of a new broad leg higher, okay? Especially if we start clearing like this resistance right here. So I'm pointing these out not to take trades in right now, but these could be, one of these could be the potential trade of the week tomorrow, or I just want to give you some ideas that you can be prepared for. All right, another one, another Chinese one is WAFU. Now, look at that, okay? Now, that one's a little more dramatic. Don't want to chase these. But now, any type of pullback, these could be buying opportunities. Because, again, I mean, look, that pretty much tried to clear that inflection point. It's given some back. I'd like to see a higher low there. This one is an educational company. They provide like online education and all that stuff for Chinese consumers and institutions and stuff like that. So I guess that whole online thing, that online education has some traction. So anyway, interesting, right? Interesting. So keep these on your radar. I like those pops, and these are not going to be as sensitive to the S&P and Nasdaq. Okay. So just wanted to mention a couple of those stocks. All right. So enough about me. Let's see what you guys have in the chat. So I covered XRP. All right. Let's see what else we got. Hey Scott, nice to see you. So photo guy, GS. Do we look for a pullback? All right. So that's Goldman Sachs, I believe, right? Goldman Sachs. This is a very powerful stock. I mean, this stock, this one is obviously one of the biggest banks in the United States, investment bank, very well known, all that stuff. Now, here's the thing. So Scott's question, I'm sorry, photo guy. Question is, do we look for a pullback? Okay, so earnings are coming up. Now look where you are, okay? Look where you are. You are at this inflection point. This is a range high. So I wouldn't buy this now. You're taking a lot of risk. So to answer your question, yes, I would wait for a pullback. At least, I'm not a big fan of buying in the middle of the range. I'm not a big fan of that. But if an opportunity develops there and you're willing to take a chance, then it's better than buying the high. Okay, now, when you go into earnings, you risk that they may not come out with as good as everyone expected and all that stuff, and then you have your pullback. Going into an earnings play thinking, oh, they're going to beat and blah, 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 and this and that, and they're going to be up $10, it's all possible, but it's very risky, and a chart is not going to help you determine that, okay? Obviously, a lot of times the earnings, it's buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. So, they're all piling in before the earnings, and watch, you watch they're going to sell going into those earnings, and then the earnings may even beat, and they may even, have some positive things in there, and it sells off anyway because everyone's piling into it now. So I would stay away from this and wait for a pullback. Okay, so either the midpoint of the range or the range low, which would be probably your best opportunity if it can provide such an opportunity. Okay. Keep in mind, Goldman Sachs is a market stock. It's definitely going to be affected by the S&P. All right, so thank you for bringing that one up. Hi, Michelle. Okay, so Scott, how much more correlation with BTC in the U.S. stock market is there today as opposed to a year ago? And why may that be the case? All right, good question, Scott. So let's pull up Bitcoin again. These correlations, right, they work until they don't work. That's why I don't really pay much attention to them. So Scott's question is, why would there be more today as opposed to a year ago? Well, there could be so many reasons, okay? I don't know why specifically, but it could be that, the players that are in the Bitcoin space are taking their money out of stocks because they're obviously making money there and putting into here because it's more speculative. right? And that's a lot of times when the stock market does really well, speculative markets usually get hot, because I got some money. Why not throw it at Bitcoin, right? So it could be a froth effect. I guess you can call it that. That could be one thing. But I would not bet on that type of stuff because, again, there's no way to really prove it. I mean, I guess we can go and try to find all kinds of statistics and all this other stuff. Oh, thanks, DJ. We'll take a look at net. Thanks. But it's really no point. Here's how we handle those correlations. Like I said before, they work until they don't work. So we just use the chart, and the chart tells us what to do. If the stock market wants to help us out, cool, no problem. When the correlation or the relationship stops working, no problem. We're not going to be confused by it. We're just going to continue to do what we do, which is just follow the charts and the signals on the charts. So I hope that answers your question. Again, there could be many reasons. It really doesn't matter, okay? Especially for short-term timing, because those relationships, they're always changing. Okay, I remember when it was something else that was affecting Bitcoin, and they were saying Bitcoin is like gold and blah 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 and this and that, right? And wherever gold goes, Bitcoin's going to go. And look at gold. I mean, okay, nice move, but where's the party? This sucks. I mean, well, come on, what's going on here? Gold should be much higher, right? With Bitcoin doing that, why isn't gold up here? So the relationship is always changing, right? So just keep that in mind. Follow the price action. So great question, and thank you for asking. All right, so let's see, Scott. The rest are stock market, but I will wait until you get. Oh, okay, no problem. HS, can you have a look at OMG? Sure. OMG USD. Well, or USD or USDT, it's going to be pretty much the same. And so same situation as Bitcoin, right? A lot of altcoins are going to look like this, like Link, Chain Link. So we've talked about this one before. In fact, I think you're the one that's been bringing it up. We had the failed low situation, back here around, what is that 2.5 area. And since then, I remember talking about the buy signal with the pin bars there, if you wanted to take something like that. So you have a buy signal in place and it's active, but and Bitcoin is trying to do its thing. Bitcoin's trying to push. I would have expected more of a dramatic move in something like this, considering the whole world couldn't get enough of it when it was pushing 10, right? But where's everyone now? Why aren't we pushing, where's the vertical move there? So it went from relatively strong to relatively weak, all right? So if you're in it, all right, look, you're getting green candles. I wouldn't worry about these little pin bars right now. As long as Bitcoin can continue its momentum, I would be expecting this thing to at least stay green, but you really need to clear this resistance right here, okay? The $4.15 area, you need to clear that. That's because, you know why? Here, I'm going to show you. That's a lower high, all right? And we have the higher low over here, which is good, but in order for this new structure to really prove itself, it needs to make a higher high. So if you're in it for that, great. Hopefully it can prove itself, and if it can, then you're probably going to see this thing work its way higher over time with a new bullish structure. It just hasn't proven itself yet, although you have some signs, like you have a higher low. That's good after an initial bullish move. So those are all bullish signs. At this point, there's nothing wrong with being long and just seeing how it plays out. Keep in mind, if it takes out the support, that higher low support and establishes a lower high, that's not what it should be doing if Bitcoin's going higher. In that situation, I'd be expecting the double bottom or something like that if it chooses to do that. All right, and then it will also be acting relatively weak, and I wouldn't be too interested in it anymore because there are better charts out there. Okay, so those are some things to consider for OMG. So thank you for bringing that up. Again, some little piece of news can come out, and next thing you know, it's vertical. So just something to keep in mind. All right, but overall, based on what I see here, probability still favors at least a test of this high. At least a test of it is reasonable. All right, so thank you for bringing that one up. Jeremy, XMR. All right, so that's Monero. Now, we had a trade in this, which obviously cleared all three targets. We sent that trade out like 2 weeks ago, something like that. I don't even remember exactly, but I know it wasn't too long ago. This thing's vertical. So like I said earlier, the support on this thing right now, your nearest support is like there, and then you might have one around here, which is 112. Okay, so right now we are at 132. So in order to buy this thing, I would not buy more Monero here. All right, I would wait for at least an inflection point, like a retrace back to that level, and it may not deliver that. It may not go that low. So we may get more of a proportional retrace to like a level over here, but there's no way to know until it produces that. So you're looking at maybe the low 120s. That's a possibility. That would be a very minor higher low, but it's, and it would provide an aggressive trade, long opportunity, very aggressive, because the thing is, it could fool around, suck in a lot of longs, and then go to the support, right? We see that all the time. Where you get like a three-leg move, pulls back, pops up, and then tests the support. So you have to be careful of that as a swing trade. As a position trade, I wouldn't touch it either, because why would you want to buy highs? As a position trade or a longer time frame trade, a longer time horizon, you want to wait for dramatic lows, which, this thing has a long way to go on that. So you might as well just wait that out, okay? So those are your inflection points from Monero. It's outperformed. It showed relative strength very early, way before the Bitcoin move, and we were on that. So now it's just a matter of waiting, okay? But great, great coin, great chart. Nothing wrong with that chart. So thanks, Jeremy, for bringing that one up. DJ. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. That's a what do you call it? That's did Andrew send that out, or I'm losing my memory right now. Was an Andrew trade, or was that what's his name? Dave. Because I know I wouldn't call this, because it's just not my style of stock. But I mean, look, you have the double bottom, and it's trying, but this is a total market stock, by the way. Okay, this is going to follow the market, and you just have to be patient. With the market as strong as it is, I would expect this thing to be doing a little bit better. But they're in the entertainment business, so that's got its own things going on at times. Anyway, all right. So let's see what else we got here. So net is the one that Michael was talking about. So look at that. Oh man, Cloudflare. Look at this. So Cloudflare, they do internet type of stuff. They're a good company. And wow, I mean, vertical. Okay, you can't buy this now. And so Michael's question on this was, should we lock something in? And okay, thanks, DJ. Yeah, that's more he's more into those conservative stocks. So something like this, you should lock something in if you're in it. If you're not in it, you just leave it alone. There's nothing to do here, because if it pulls back, you're looking at $40 or somewhere around there, mid 40s maybe. So you have to leave it alone. But definitely, when you see vertical, take something off the table, especially when it looks like that. 1/3 at least, 30% of your position. You have 100 shares, no question you should be locking something in, because that's the herd piling into this thing, and you want to unload, distribute to them while they're there. So wow, yeah, what a move on that one. Okay, so let's see. So Scott, thanks for answering. Okay, do you feel the lower time frame moves today on SPX and Nasdaq may seem too? Okay, well, I don't really pay any attention to news, Scott. So Scott's bringing up the Nasdaq and S&P intraday, right? So let's take a look. NSX USD. We can look at this intraday, and let's take a look at like a 15-minute chart. Okay, and he's asking if the moves are basically, are they too dramatic, given that there's really no news? No, I mean you have to look at it. It is what it is. You can't judge it like that. People are, this could have been a result of too many shorts that piled in at a time when they shouldn't have piled in, right? Too early. Remember, like a week ago, there was all kinds of bearish negative news. And I warned people, it was a Friday. It wasn't the previous Friday. It was the Friday before. And I warned people because we had an ugly candle that day. And I said, Any little ounce of positive news, and this market's going to go straight up because it wasn't bearish enough. And on top of that, you have to realize fighting the stock market is basically fighting the current government administration. That's who you're fighting. And they're going to do whatever they have to do to make this market strong. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Okay? Because it's going to affect their election results, right? So you just have to accept that. And so, but I'm sure there were many shorts that were piled in. And when you see something like this, a lot of times it's because they're getting squeezed. It could have been a large short or whatever, and they're getting hammered, and the market goes vertical because then you have new buyers jumping on top of it. So intraday, this is an intraday chart. I mean, wow, like how do you deal with that? Yeah, people also, another thing people do is they have a tendency to short too early. You see these little bearish movements, you get shorts that pile in on there and they're wrong, but they try anyway, and then they have to buy it back, right? And now it sells off a bit, but this is just a buying opportunity, okay? Anyway, so let's go back to the 1440, the daily chart. So, wait, that's not it. So just a few things to keep in mind. So yeah, Scott, to really answer your question in a very long and drawn out way, I don't really pay attention to how news affects the market. I'm only looking at levels and momentum. Okay, so thanks for the question. XMR. Oh, thank you, DJ. Thank you. Yeah, see, DJ is like my backup. He comes up. He's like my fact checker. in case I deliver some fake news or something, DJ's out there to make sure that what I'm saying is correct. Okay, Roku. Okay, so let's take a look at Roku here. So DJ, remember we talked about Roku. We talked about the island reversal. This candle right here, which is a very rare situation. You usually don't see those lone doji candles out in the middle of nowhere like that. And typically they're reversal patterns. Like you don't want to be buying an island reversal, right? Now, we talked about like an aggressive short. DJ was like, I'm looking for puts, right? He was talking about. In fact, DJ, I was looking for puts. I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can maybe grab one of those DJ trades, but the puts for this thing, buying puts, and I was looking at like $50 out of the money, $100 out of the money, but I was also looking at some time. I was looking at a couple of months. They're expensive. They're very expensive for this stock. It's because it's a wild stock. I mean, your average put was like $500 to $600 per contract, and that's a lot for one contract for something so far out of the money, okay? Because it may not get there, and that's just money you're throwing out the window. So it's not, that to me is just not worth it. But as far as this this island reversal, you have this gap over here, and it's likely to close that gap. So again, how do you place something like this? Can you short the stock outright? I mean, it's very risky. You would think that this stock would be doing better today on such a strong stock market day, but it's not, right? Which means this thing is probably poised to pull back, and that pullback can be pretty dramatic, okay? You're looking at, what is this price here? Back to like 200. That's a reasonable, this would be just a normal, healthy retrace of the bullish trend back to 200. All right. So yeah, I know, DJ. So the prices are very high for the options. Sometimes you're just better off leaving them alone. But so what choices do you have? You could short the stock outright. I guess if there's a CFD of it somewhere, you could try shorting that because you can work with smaller size if you want to try that. But just keep in mind, this is super aggressive because you're fighting the trend, but there's a good chance that this thing is going to pull back. Okay, if the S&P and Nasdaq have a small pullback, this thing is probably get hammered because that's what it's setting up to do. But you're fighting the trend. You're better off. The better thing to do is to wait for the pullback and try to buy that. And again, even doing that with options is going to be expensive because the premiums are just so high. Now, I mentioned that on Workhorse the other day, and Andrew sent out a trade idea like right after I put that chart out on selling a put, that's probably the best choice. All right, if you don't understand options, just ignore everything I'm saying because that can, if you don't know what you're doing with selling puts, you can also get caught in situations that are not very they're not very fun to be caught in. But selling a put, you can take advantage of the huge premium if it works. And if it doesn't work and you have to take delivery, or you don't have to, you can close the position. But if you have to take delivery, you're getting it at a much lower price anyway. Because remember, you keep that premium. All right, so I'm not going to go do options education right now, but for those of you that know options, you get the idea. So that's another possibility, right? And Workhorse sold that put. I saw this breakout occurring. Okay, he sent that out intraday. That put should have been worth something. All right, now this is not a great candle, but it's still above that breakout point. So hopefully that momentum will continue. All right, but keep in mind, if you sold the put and you have two choices. You can get out of it and take a loss at some point if it's not working. You can get out of it, take a small gain if there's still a small gain in it, or you can just hold on to it and take delivery of the stock. And that the stock may be a lot lower when you have to take delivery, but you're still getting it at a low price compared to where it is now. All right, anyway, so let me see what other questions I have here. So DJ, let's say it, let me make sure, okay. Okay, it prints a bearish pin bar. And the red candle tomorrow following takes out the low. What action can we take on net? All right, so back to net. So DJ wants to know if this thing prints a bearish pin bar, all right? Right now, so obviously there's nothing like that in place right now. So if we see a bearish pin bar like here, and you see the little long tail, and it takes out the low of that pin bar the following day. Well, again, you're looking at a sell signal. So if you're long, it's a good idea to take more off the table upon the sell signal, because why hold on to it? Like, it may go higher, but why take the chance that it gives a good portion back? You can always get back in, right? So that's one thing you can do, is reduce your risk even further if you're long. If you're not long and you're thinking of the short side, well, it's, again, you're fighting something that's crazy here, right? You're fighting something that's very strong. Now, can it pull back, and how much can it pull back? A reasonable pullback at this point may be only like the halfway point. People may think, oh, it'll pull all the way back to the support here, and wow, that'll be a great short. It's aggressive, okay? Because again, the trend is bullish. So if you're going to short this thing, I would look for a small bite, okay? Small bite if you can get that, and take your money when you can, because people are going to be looking to buy this thing. All right, that's just the way it is until it proves otherwise. So you can try buying a put. I don't know how expensive those puts are going to be. Maybe they're cheaper. They're going to be cheaper than Workhorse. I don't know, though, after this move. But you can consider buying an out-of-the-money put. I would not sell a call against this, because you're asking for a lot of trouble there. You could short the shares outright with a stop above the pin bar high and hope for the best, right? Again, those are aggressive things to do. It's probably better for a day trader, because if you're wrong, you could just get out and that's that, and take your small loss. For a swing trade, it's a lot tougher, okay? Especially since it can gap and you're stuck in it overnight and all that stuff. So those are the things that I'd consider for net, but I'd be looking for the buying opportunity on something like this. I'd be looking for the next buying opportunity, okay, if I was not in it. So thank you for bringing that one up. All right, so let's see. Swing is the best trade. Just wanted to let you guys know. Oh, well, thanks, DJ. I'll tell you, it's definitely more swing. People who don't know what that is, basically, you're looking for broader moves in the market, and you're not tied to your computer. You don't have to be tied to your computer all day, because you're getting in from, first of all, you're evaluating higher probability prices and locations. You're capturing the broader move. So if you're on the right side of a broad bullish trend, as like Bitcoin, for example, right? We got into that trade. We know the broader trend is bullish. We didn't have to stay chained to our computer and watch every little tick, okay? We knew that the trend was bullish. We got a buy signal back here. And then it's just like, okay, it's up to the market to work from there. You put your stop, you put your targets, and then you just go about your business and do something else. Right? That's the great thing about swing trading that people just don't understand. And then you get that broad move, and now everyone's trying to pile into this thing, all reacting to the news, while we're getting out. And we're reducing our risk and taking profit on those people that are reacting. So there's a lot of advantages to swing trading. But you want to know something funny, DJ and Kev? You don't see a lot of YouTube guys talking about the benefits of swing trading. There are some out there, but all the guys that are really getting a lot of action are like the day trader guys, because they're coming out and they're saying, well, I made $10,000 today, and I was only in front of my computer for an hour. Sure, if you have 10 years of experience or more, it's possible, because you have to throw around size and all that other stuff. But a beginner is not going to be able to make that kind of money, because they're not going to have the psychological makeup or the experience to know what to do and what to do when things go wrong. So that's why it's so important to recognize that. But when someone tells you, oh, I'm making $5,000 in a day, you're going to be interested. And that's why they get so much traction and so much interest. But people don't understand the reality. No one talks about the reality of it. Can you make that kind of money day trading? You can, but you have to know what you're doing. You really have to know what you're doing. And you're not going to learn in a month, and you're not going to learn from learning a couple of setups. Oh, here's a setup. Here's my secret magical day trade setup. And once you learn it, you're going to make thousands a day, right? That's the dream that they sell, and that's not possible, okay? You may make it once or twice, but you're not going to be around, in the game very long if you don't know how to manage risk and get all these other things, which takes years to develop. Okay, anyway, so enough of that. DJ, when I do options, it's just with a few $100s. And that's okay. And that's one thing that people also have to realize, DJ. Everything, people want to make thousands and thousands of dollars, but they want to do it with $1,000 account. You're not going to do it with $1,000 account. Everything is relative to the capital that you're working with, because it's all about the risk, right? So if you have $1,000 account, can you double that account in a day? Sure, it's possible, okay? But the amount of risk that you have to take to realize such a result, especially on a consistent basis, is too high. So what will happen is you will wipe out the account. That's just statistically what will happen. Now, if you have a $10,000 account and you're only risking 1% or 2% per trade, well, now you have to be wrong a lot of times, for one, to wipe out your account, which statistically is a much lower probability. All right, and especially if you have a particular system or a method of weighing your probabilities and buying at particular times, right? Which is what a trade setup is all about. That's a system. So when you have something like that in place, chances are you're not going to be wrong 5 times in a row. If you are, then you're probably doing something wrong. The other thing is, when you're right, you have to make a lot more than when you're wrong. If you can't do that, you're just never going to get anywhere. So that people don't understand all these things about risk, because again, they see the video of the guy making $5,000, or not even showing you how he makes it, but talking about it, and then showing you a chart. Oh, I bought it here and I sold it there. Okay, that's nice. I want to see you do it in real time. I want to see you make the call so that we can all get in and also participate. Not tell me after the fact. Okay? So, and that's the thing, right? So, and DJ says, right, you use a lot more money with options, especially if you don't know what you're doing with them, DJ. I mean, options are, obviously you know what you're doing. We get people that come to us and they're like, oh yeah, I saw your options trade, and how do you buy it? And it's like, wow, if you don't know how to do that, like basic stuff, like how to place an order, if you don't know, you shouldn't be using real money. It's just that simple. But I understand it's human nature. You want to make money, and people are desperate for it. I understand those things, but you have to focus on the risk. And obviously we're here to help. We want to teach people how to do these things, but certain basic things, like what a call is, what a put is, how to buy them, when you're paying those premiums, or if you're shorting, taking in those premiums, certain things you need to know. To be honest with you, it took me years just to get comfortable with the whole options thing. Okay, I mean, now I throw them around. It's like it's nothing, and I don't do like 20 or 30 contracts. I'm doing relatively small size too. I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, depending on the situation. But it's not about looking for home runs. It's about consistency and keeping your risk small. Because my risk is small, right? If you look at our trades that we send out, our swing trades, it's always 1%, maybe 2% at times, but we share that risk, right? 1% we put on the trade idea. So you have an idea of what we're risking. If we're wrong 3 or 4 times, we're losing 3 or 4% of our account, right? Not 10%, not 30%. We could be wrong 10 times and still be fine. All right, we wouldn't be too happy about that, but our account would still be there. And then we'd have to just reevaluate and just get back on the right side. But that's part of it, right? The other part is winning more than when you're wrong, right? Winning more than you lose. You have to be able to do that. And that comes with riding a winner. Like Bitcoin right now, what do we say? We have 2 more targets, let it run. Let the winner run. On a high, we reduced our risk by 1/3. Okay, let the rest of it run. And that's it. Okay? Right, so Kev, people do the opposite. They don't let the winner run. They let the trade that's not working run. You know why? Because it's human nature to have hope. Okay? Hope is what keeps you in those positions because we're conditioned to believe in hope. Hope doesn't work in the markets. You know, you want to have like a love song and you want to hope that she comes back to you and whatever. Okay, fine, hope. That's nice. Or you watch a movie and the movie is about hope. Okay, that's cool. Okay, but in the market, there's no hope. So it's either your risk is defined and it goes to your stop, or you have a winner and you let it run and that's it. Okay, no hope, no emotions. So that's what people get caught up in. Right, Kev. Right. You cannot have hope. But people talk to me. I have people sending me messages at times. You know, do you think this will come back? You know, I bought Bitcoin at 18,000 and it's at 5,000 right now. Do you think it'll come back? I hope it comes back. You hope? No, it's the wrong thing to say. You know, so that's the thing. It's like you should have been out of that a long time ago at such a bad price. But they don't know. Right, and their emotions are what are driving their decisions. So, you know, at Greenbridge, we obviously help our members see beyond all that stuff. We help them to see things in more from a statistical perspective and a pragmatic perspective so that you're doing the things that you should be doing that are effective behaviors. Okay, not ineffective reactionary behaviors. This is what the herd mentality is all about. So we capitalize on the herd. We are not part of the herd. That is the whole thing, right? That's what, if you read my philosophy page, I wrote, no one reads it, but I wrote a whole thing about that. And anyway, that's how we operate. And the result of that is our members have a lot of them, like DJ, Kev, there's a bunch of them too that aren't here, that have developed the confidence to not only believe in the trades that they're taking because they understand why they're taking them and they understand how to let them work a bit, but they're that much more confident to capitalize on the opportunity when it appears and hold on to their winner longer and all that other stuff and not worry too much if it stops out. They don't care because they know, okay, it's part of the game. Stops save a lot of money. Okay, so this confidence is how you're going to win in the long run. All right, wow, I'm really going on a rant here. I have to stop. But I saw I had a few extra minutes, so I figured I'd rant a little bit. All right, you guys, so do I have any other questions? Wow, people are still listening, or at least they're still here. Any questions about any of the markets I covered here? It's just 20 minutes after 4, so the markets are closed now. Any questions? Let me check the CGC, because these stocks, look at this stupid stock. Look at this stupidness, all over talk. Okay, look at that. This would be a good one to sell a call against if you have some. Let's check out Kronos. Okay, look at that, almost. How about Tilray? Look at this. I was thinking about actually buying some calls on this, out of money calls, but I don't know. We definitely have the formation for it. Anyway, all right, enough of the pot stocks. But that's something if you're in those. Okay. Any questions? See, so Kev, I like you guys train like right. Well, Kev, I mean that's if you read any of the classic books, I mean you'll read that same philosophy and that same message over and over. I mean I've been in this game for over 20 years. So, and I've read lots of books. All the main ones. When I started out, there were all these books that, you know, they suggested you read and all this and all that. And you come across the same theme in all of them. It's really about the opposite of human nature. Human nature is to be reactive. That's what we're conditioned to be, because I guess, 10,000 years ago, it worked in the type of environment that those people were in. But in a random environment where things change constantly, human nature is your enemy. It will not help you. Because remember, the markets are a highly random environment, but not always random. Okay? Well, DJ, no, not yet. But I am thinking about selling some calls against some of the garbage that I have, because I might as well take advantage of some of that price action. Because these rallies, these spikes are probably, you know how they go. They get all excited about them, and then the buyers go away. So I might as well, maybe sell some covered calls, I'm thinking, against some of them. But I'm not going to exit, because it's like, I'm married to those stocks now. I took delivery from short puts, and now I'm stuck in them. But again, I don't have large positions, but selling a call may not be a bad idea. Anyway, all right. So that's pretty much it. Do I have any other questions? Any other questions? So yeah, I ranted about a lot of stuff today. All right, so if I don't have any more questions, guys, if you're new to Greenbridge, please make sure that you register for our channel or subscribe to our channel here. Like the video if you liked it. Also, make sure that you share, or if you can, please share the video with your social network, because it will really help us out a lot for us to help spread the word. Also, make sure you check out greenbridgeinvesting.com. We have a swing trade signal service by text and by email, which most of the people here are subscribers to. We also send out portfolio ideas by email, which are long-term, like investment ideas. And we have a chat room where we share insight and updates to our trade ideas and all types of other stuff, and answer questions and things like that each day. Okay, so I know most of the people here are in there. All right, you guys, no problem. So again, thank you again for spending some time with me. I hope you found this session helpful, and I will see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for watching.